Caleb Bacon moving from linebacker to the edge position. Zach, Penn State may be using one of its better linebackers to solve one of the few obvious roster weaknesses on this team. You and I talked about this, or me and Chris talked about this. I apologize, when we were talking Penn State not too long ago. I think you and I may have talked about it at one point too, but me and Chris kind of went a little bit more in depth talking about how, yes, you have Max Granville, and that's a good situation there with a young player, but you need some more edge rushers on this team. And with Danton Lynn coming in, he's obviously going to structure the defense around what is best for them and everything. And you do have a number of good linebackers, Tony Rojas and guys like that. So felt like you had good linebackers, and Chris told us that he didn't think Caleb Bacon was going to be starting at linebacker. Well, turns out he might be starting on the edge this season. From the beginning of camp, he has taken the primary amount of his snaps with the edge group. He is a transfer from Iowa State, working at edge now with Penn State. Edge is one of the least proven positions on the Nittany Lions roster this year. Bacon does have prior experience playing on the line of scrimmage, and Penn State can still use him as kind of a linebacker hybrid defender. Zach, as you heard this news, what are your thoughts? Good move, desperate move? What are you thinking here?
First off, when I first saw your graphic, I really thought it said bacon to egg, and I was like, oh, bacon, egg, and cheese right now.
Yep.
But
people are watching this in the morning. If not, they're going to be really hungry for breakfast.
Yeah. You wanted meaningful analysis. I'm sorry. Let me get to that.
Whatever you bring to the table, Zach, we're fine.
In all seriousness, it's not like Caleb Bacon is. This is not him moving to a position that he has not played before. He has played a lot around the line of scrimmage. Like, he's been mostly a linebacker, but he has been shifted to play on the line quite a bit. In fact, I think 50% of his snaps near the line last year at Iowa State were near the line of scrimmage. So he has experience around the line of scrimmage. He's 6'4", 246 pounds. So you'd like him to be a little bigger in the Big Ten, taking on those tackles. But he's not completely outsized at that size. I think he can use his quickness to be able to get off the ball and get around the edge. Probably the biggest thing is teaching him different techniques with hand placement and whatnot. But do I think it's desperate? Probably a little, just because of where they're at. But do I think it's out of complete desperation? No. I think part of this is that he is a guy who has done this at Iowa State at a decently high level. Like, he had 3 sacks last year, I think 8.5 or 9.5 tackles for loss. This is a guy who can play on the line. So is that out of desperation? Sure. But is he the right guy to do this? I think so. I think you're muted, John.
I was reading stats and didn't even think. He had 134 snaps on the defensive line last season, 393 in the box, and then 124 technically as the slot corner type of situation. But if you watch the episode with me and Chris on the defense, you'll understand that kind of makes sense. And we also have Chris chiming in here. Chris, we appreciate you. Said at an NIL event, Cooper Eber told me Penn State will go to a 3-4 alignment and use Bacon as a rush edge. Yeah, that's going to be your hybrid kind of edge linebacker situation.
It's a good way to use him.
The 3-4, yeah.
It's a really good way to use him.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and that's common. I mean, you could go to like a 4-3 and switch to like a 4-2 type of situation, or you could go to a 3-3 and switch to like a 4-2 situation with that, and go to the nickel with kind of a hybrid linebacker edge. But I don't think that's what Iowa State will do this season, especially after talking with Chris and him giving us the thought process and the intel there. So Chris, appreciate that. I think this is a really good move for Caleb Bacon, and I think I'm with you. He is a little undersized for that spot, if that is still his correct measurements. Sometimes things are not always the most updated things in the world, so we'll have to see. But who was a relatively small edge and had a pretty good career on the edge for Penn State, Zach?
Abdul Carter.
Yes, yeah, he did pretty well for himself.
Let's.
I'm not
Abdul
saying
Carter was a freak.
I'm not saying he's Abdul Carter. I'm just saying that it's not
Yeah.
completely, out of this world that a guy who's a little bit undersized at the edge position could be used very well at that
Yes.
position if you
Yeah.
structure things the right way. Especially in a 3-4 alignment, I think you could do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're seeing that, like, Nebraska moving that wide receiver, Jeremiah Jones, uh Kiorusa at Ohio State, coming from Alabama, a lighter guy. You're getting some of that twitchiness on the outside, and I think that really helps you. And what do we know about Matt Campbell guys? They're sound.
Mm-hmm.
They're technically sound, and I think that's the thing that Penn State folks should get excited about is that their players, they may not be like Bacon may not be as athletic as Abdul Carter, but he's going to be sound.
Yeah,
And that's
he's not
something
as
you can get
athletic.
excited about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
not as
not. He's
athletic as Abdul Carter.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not even going
I
to
shouldn't.
entertain that.
I shouldn't say may not. He is not as athletic as Abdul Carter. There we
Yeah,
go.
but a lot of it is just how you use the player, right? What kind of
Yeah,
situations do you put them in? How do you align them? And in this 3-4 type of defense, where Dave's here asked the question, and he's exactly right. What's the difference between an outside linebacker and a defensive end these days? Not much. I mean, that's why I call him an edge, right? It just kind of depends on where they're going to go, and the whole reason that people are making this assumption that he's gone from linebacker to edge is because essentially he's going wherever the defensive line goes in practice right now, according to reports, which makes total sense. You can still be a linebacker and do that. You just kind of have to adjust how you're teaching stuff. Like, I know Wisconsin for years, I'm pretty sure they still have it this year. They have like outside linebacker coaches because the outside linebacker position is essentially your edge rusher, is essentially your defensive end in a number of ways. And your down linemen are typically more of your interior guys. And that's one of the reasons why guys don't just call defensive tackles anymore. They get called defensive linemen because they can play interior. They can also go outside a little bit more. It just depends on your formation and how you're going to be utilizing them. So, but overall, I mean, I really like this. I think that you look at this situation, you look at Caleb Bacon, where Penn State is at right now, and Matt Campbell and his guys being willing to kind of go out of the box a little bit here. Not totally, because Caleb Bacon did play a lot. Like I said, 134 snaps, but he played almost 400 snaps in the box last season. So this is a situation where he wasn't just purely a defensive line guy on the edge, but he did do a lot of it, and I think it could be really beneficial for Penn State this season. Anything else on this, Zach?
no, I think we've covered it quite well.